we are live and sweaty.
Oh,
So,
heavens. I don't want to be in the same room if you're sweaty.
well, it's my musk stank. Anyway, this is Mike the Llama, as opposed to the Ox, and Dr. Brant Raven.
Yes.
Welcome again.
This is so entertaining. I've come back for another one.
Very good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Audio Pete
Hello.
with us again.
Hello.
And we should also call him Timer Pete for his keeping us on track, which is good.
Now,
sending
as I
them
am bending
secret
over and the sun is shining,
Yes.
should we close the blinds a little bit?
In the studio,
yeah.
the blinds to the studio, we could certainly do that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, we can leave them open. But
I did
oh,
bring
there
my
we go.
sunglasses.
Oh, that's a little bit better. There you go. A bit of atmospheric. So
Oh, isn't that romantic? Someone light a
I
candle.
told you we should have built the studio in a slightly different orientation. But anyway, we won't go there.
That's
Not very feng shui, is it?
No, it's not.
No,
It's not.
That's right.
All right, what do we have? How have we been going with the?
We've been going all right.
We're getting some interest,
We're
aren't we?
getting some controversial views, and I think that's probably triggering a few comments.
It's good to see some of the comments come up. It's good to see a lot more listenership. Let's just say
that's certainly true.
So, if this is the first time you're listening to,
Do we need
podcast,
to remind people what we do?
look? We've done a few now, so I think a reminder wouldn't hurt.
Okay, all right. Well, so the way that we approach this is that we'd find an interesting topic,
Yes.
one that we think might be good for a bit of a
Well, we
discussion.
don't. We don't find. You find.
Well, I find a topic, and I present it to Dr. Raven, who has no idea what it is we're talking about, and with the intention of pricking the bubble. So we want to prick the bubble of your comfort zone, I guess, maybe, or if it's a view on a topic that you haven't considered. Just give you a bit of a shake and see if you maybe you're in a rut with the way you think about a particular topic. That's what we're all about,
Yeah.
and hopefully be entertaining at the same time.
Absolutely.
Look, I'm juggling right now.
Absolutely, and the topic is not always controversial either. We should
No, that's true.
you know
we have covered a couple of controversial ones, but
we will often discuss things for which there really is no controversy, just for the value of discussing them.
and I note with the blind closed in here now, I wish I'd brought my miner's helmet so that my light could light what I was trying to read here.
I
But
could switch on the light, or we could crack open the blinds again.
that's right, we can use the light from the phone. All right, this week's topic: conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, okay, interesting.
That's right, we do need some dramatic music. Maybe I'll insert some here. Okay, so who killed JFK? Do you know that nearly 60% of Americans believe it was a conspiracy?
Okay.
Yes, you do believe that.
Yeah, okay.
Did a UFO land at Roswell?
I think it crashed.
That's true, did it?
I don't think it's
It
safely
did.
landed.
Okay.
Nothing
It's
landed
not
anywhere,
all
that's
thing.
correct.
I actually don't know where you're going with this. I'm not really sure there's even controversy here. But
Did the US carry out September 11 on its own rather than... Did you know, when I asked that 54% of Americans believe that someone other than Al-Qaeda carried that out?
I think every time you start a sentence with 60 whatever % of Americans believe that...
Yeah, all right, okay. Of those surveyed.
My eyes start to glaze over.
All right.
yeah, I would agree, because now all you're doing is making an argument from popularity.
That's okay. All right.
We all know that an argument from popularity is one of the most heinous logical fallacies you can make.
All right. Good point. Next one. Did we land on the moon?
I didn't, but I would.
Did
How is that a
not
conspiracy?
a collect?
theory?
I don't.
Yeah,
know.
go on. Is the Earth flat? Is that another one?
Every single gun massacre, bombings, ISIS, false flag operations. Okay.
Go on.
Vaccinations, the Illuminati, lizard people from another dimension.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on? Why do these conspiracy theories persist? And don't give me the answer. I know what the answer. I've even got it in my bit of paper. Why? Because people are fucking stupid. No, you can't give me that answer. I want something better than that. While I turn the light on, because I can't see a damn thing.
Damn it, why can't I give that answer if that is actually the answer?
It's part of the answer. Some people who believe conspiracy theories are quite intelligent people, but I tend to think that it's a new psychological phenomenon, but belief in conspiracy theories is in itself a new type of psychological.
Well, it's certainly true that if you believe in one, you're more likely to
Yes.
believe in several.
Yes.
So
Well,
that shows you that it's not actually topic dependent.
There's a whole structural problem with everything that concerns a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole structural problem with it. And the structural problem exists within the realm of logic. First of all, to call it a theory is really quite an obtuse thing to say, right? Because
Some of them are poorly formed and not actually a theory.
well, that's right. A theory is, by my scientific understanding, right? So a lot of people look at the word theory and they say, "Oh, well, theory means you just don't know everything about it, right?" Oh, so how can you? So whenever you discuss like the theory of evolution, for example, with someone that is a complete fuckwit, they always look at you and
a
say,
creationist, I believe, is the term you're looking for.
well, I won't label anyone. I think being a fuckwit's actually better than being a creationist. But whenever you discuss the word theory,
Yes.
how could you believe the theory of evolution?
only
The
a
word
theory.
theory, it's only a theory. Oh, hang on. Do you actually understand what the word theory means? You know, the word theory means that observation. It's a framework. It's all the collected evidence that we have, and all the evidence that we have points to a particular direction, and that direction is what we refer to as a theory. It's the best comprised explanation for everything we have observed. So to call a conspiracy theory a theory is really a bit of a freaking stretch.
It's a little bit like
Right.
calling an atheist a religion in itself.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you call anyone that's calling atheism a religion is just, you can't win. You don't even argue with that
that's right.
person because you're not going to win the argument. So calling a conspiracy theory a theory, ridiculous. I would barely call it a hypothesis. It's not even a hypothesis, right? But anyway, let's get beyond the semantics.
Yes.
I'd say it's a conspiracy spanner in the works. That's all it is at the moment. They're throwing spanners into
Yes.
the works of reality.
Yeah.
But they want us to take notice of these things.
Well, I think a lot of the time the people don't actually have any grasp of what's behind, like the things that have proven it, or the things that disprove their particular theory. Whether I'm using it again, they have no grasp of how to prove evidence or give evidence to counteract the existing.
Well, that's exactly
stuff.
right. But these people are the sort of people that don't actually understand evidence and what evidence actually means. You're talking about a class of people, and they may be intelligent. I don't know. I mean, I would argue with you and say if this person doesn't know what evidence actually means, then they're not really that intelligent.
Yeah, well,
they don't really understand evidence.
Some people, though, trick you or confuse the issue. I went to some lectures from Ian Plimer. You familiar with Ian Plimer?
No.
He's an academic. He went out and was proving some guy wrong about the existence of Noah's Ark. And this particular nutter guy said, "Oh, look at this! I've found the shape and all that sort of. This is, you can see." And
Accent probably not required, but
that's
anyway,
true. That was to differentiate him from
Get to
myself.
the point.
Plimer came out and said, "No, this is what this is. You don't understand. This is. I will explain to you what these formations are. These rock formations." He's a geologist,
Right.
Anyway, he also doesn't believe in man-made climate change.
Right.
So I looked to him, and I used, before he came out and said that sort of stuff, I thought he's a really intelligent guy, smart guy. But, hold on a minute. How could he not believe in climate change?
Yeah.
99% of people who are in the know, scientists, support it. They believe that it's real, but he doesn't. So you can get, I'm using him as an exception to the rule, you can get smart people who don't necessarily go the way you think.
Of course you can. You can get smart people who are smart in one area and completely fucking ignorant in another area.
Yes.
I mean, why is this a surprise to you?
No, it's not a surprise. I'm just countering your point that you
know
said
what?
these people are fucking idiots.
You know what? Look at me, and you're looking at an example of a person who's very, very ignorant. I don't know everything. I'm ignorant in many areas. You want to see another person? Hang on, where's my mirror? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? There's you can be very, very smart in one area and very ignorant and stupid in another area.
Yes.
You can, because it comes down to what you believe, and to some people, looking at a tree is evidence for God. That is evidence. They would classify that as the same evidence as what a court would classify as,
I did have
material evidence.
I did have some Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door one day.
Oh, that would have been entertaining.
Try to discuss things with me, and they
Oh,
said,
geez.
for example,
See, I'm never that lucky.
they said, for example, that tree in your front yard. Do you know how that got there? And I said, yes, I planted it. That was the end of the conversation. I think they realised they weren't actually going to be progressing
Oh
terribly
my
far. But
God! Imagine the situation. How lucky would it be
if they knocked on your door,
if 1 week we were doing the podcast? Oh my God!
Bring
You
them
would
in and
so
sit them
invite
down.
them in.
Yeah. Look, just getting back to it. Conspiracy theorists.
yes, sorry.
I think it is an expression of, simply put, one way of sticking it to the man. A lot of people who go for conspiracies, think of these conspiracies as government based, like authority have given them this knowledge and they reject it.
Yep.
As a means of protest. Often it's because maybe they don't understand or don't like the way that science can answer things so well, and provide such good answers that they feel like,
So
maybe I should just I want to reject this because it's being given to me and taught to me at school.
So, Audio Pete, are you saying they reject this on the basis of, or how can I think about this? Are they rejecting this?
I think an absence of
It's
power.
Are they rejecting it on the on their lack of scientific knowledge? Maybe.
Yes, I think
So you're
some
saying,
of
are
it.
these people
Some of
simply
it.
lacking scientific knowledge?
No.
Or are they rejecting?
Scientific knowledge? I think, put it this way, I had a friend of mine who we were hiking around Tasmania. It sounds like that Friends story. I was hiking around Tasmania one time, and we were on the top of a waterfall, and I picked up a pebble and I timed how long it dropped. It took 3 seconds. I said, I use S equals UT plus half AT squared, the old physics formula for working out
Distance.
the distance. 3 seconds equates to 45 metres, I think, under that formula.
Yep.
And he said, it depends on the size of the stone you dropped. I said,
No, he didn't say that.
that you said that because Aristotle thought that. And I explained all about the whole thing about gravity.
Hang on, was it
affecting all things.
Aristotle
thought that things did fall faster if they were heavier. Whereas Galileo and others after him...
Hang on, was it Aristotle that thought that, or Galileo that thought that and then disproved it?
No, it's Aristotle's much earlier than Galileo.
All right.
Aristotle's back in Roman times. Aristotle thought that things fell to the ground because it wanted to be at a state of rest. And
that's why I fall to the ground.
Yeah, yes.
So.
Because these things wanted, whereas Galileo it's supposed to have done. Anyway, this is explaining the background of it, but through experimentation and they worked out a formula that works under normal Newtonian physics.
Right.
But we had the longest argument about this fact that all things fall. Not thinking about air resistance and things like that.
Did you push him over the waterfall and see how long it took him to...
I really did like this. And I still have, on the occasion when I do speak to him now, we still have these types of arguments.
Evans, tell you what, anyone that knows me wouldn't have that argument with me.
Yes.
No, but they would have pushed you over as well, I suspect.
But what it taught me is that,
I agree with you when I'd have pushed you over.
He completely rejected all physics in preference to his own intuition, and I think that happens.
Are you still friends with this guy?
I can't talk to him for longer than 10 seconds. It's usually I'm ringing to call someone else in his family. He was my high school friend, and we spent a lot of time together.
Now it's funny you should mention all this because are you familiar with the backfire effect? That's sounding like a no. But if I describe it,
no, I'm not.
All right, so the backfire effect is a name for finding that given evidence against their beliefs, people can reject that evidence and believe even more strongly in their own views. And you've pretty much just described you've pretty much described that. And I've seen evidence of that.
Given evidence against what someone believes,
yes,
that person who
will
believes...
hold more strongly to their belief
Okay.
and reject that evidence. That's the backfire effect. And you see that all the time online.
Right.
All
See,
the time.
now if I were in government, I would arrest people like that.
Which is why
I'm not
let's
in
not
government.
vote one Dr. Brant Raven.
No, but really, come on.
No, but I'm with you. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's for me, I think of it as a bit like the old, a lot of Asian countries have the saving face sort of aspect of things.
yes.
And this sounds a little bit like this.
Yes.
Oh, well, you've told me that, or at least explained to me that I'm a bit of a knob. I'm a bit of an ignoramus, and I'd rather you didn't. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say, "Well, that's not true. I don't believe you."
So
what's the point in that?
So that's interesting. Does a person like that? That's what I said to you, Pete. Does a person like that identify in their brain, know that they're wrong, but they're simply saying that they're not wrong to save their own face, or are they genuinely not knowing that they're wrong?
I think
both are pretty terrible.
Yeah. I think there's a combination. You can defend yourself because you feel like you've had someone do you wrong by saying you're wrong, you suck, and you take that as a personal insult rather than it's an opportunity to learn, or you can just be a prick and be a pain in the arse and say no, you're not right at all.
As you know, and as we've discussed in a couple of different podcasts, I'm very much a person who is all about education, learning and teaching. I live a life of learning. I'm very recognising that I don't know everything that there is to know, or even in my given area, my area of expertise. So if someone says, if I'm wrong about something, I'm quite happy about that. I've now learned something new, and here's a person I can ask questions of this particular topic. It's wonderful to be wrong. I think people, whoever you are and you're listening to this, don't be afraid to be wrong. It's a wonderful thing.
Doubt is good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really a
So
good
it's
thing
so
to
it
be
comes.
wrong.
Does
You
it just
learn.
does
You
it just
learn
come down to
things.
pride then?
I think it's. I think if anyone thinks that they're maintaining any level of pride by maintaining something that's wrong, then they're a fucking idiot.
I watched quite a good thing on YouTube about the flat earthers. There's one particular guy who's who's like the king of all the flat earthers. He's well known.
Yeah,
and the whole
I think
video
I've seen
was
something similar.
Yeah, the whole video they talked very little about the actual evidence for what they believe in, but they were talking about the movement. Like more and more people are believing it. They were more interested in how popular that idea was becoming
Than the idea itself.
Yeah, and how much kudos it brought him.
Yeah.
There
I think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
And I had the same reaction. And I thought to myself, you know what? Even if this person were presented with evidence that could not be contravened, and even if he saw that evidence could not be contravened, because of his popularity status, he would have to contravene that evidence.
Yes.
He would have to find a way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his status can't be maintained.
Yeah.
And given the nature of society these days, where being popular is more important than anything, he would have to maintain that.
Yeah. So this is again coming.
So
down...
again, I just want to go back and say, I have an immense amount of pride in the lack of knowledge that I have in so many things.
Yeah.
I'm proud to not know so many things because it leaves me a lot of room to know those things, and I just sit there and I love reading books. I love reinforcing what I know. I love talking to people. I love educating people and giving them information, and I love learning from people. All right? So there's nothing wrong with not knowing things.
But replacing that lack of knowledge with bullshit is where we're probably...
Well,
it's what we're looking at, I guess, at the moment.
Well, again, you really need to investigate why a person would do this. And there's a lot of very simple experiments that you can do yourself in order to prove various things. Like depending on what the thing. I mean, you can't run an experiment to see who killed JFK, but you can certainly run experiments.
Well, you actually can.
Well,
there was a game that came out several years back called JFK Reloaded, and it was designed to see if people could recreate. So
Right.
it's a moving video. I have it on my computer, and you can fire the shots and try to match exactly what happens. And they tried to do this just by, and it just happened to turn into a game, which was probably seen as slightly poor taste. But it started off with someone trying to. There have been plenty of people who sat on the top of a thing, a tower, and used the same weapon that Lee Harvey Oswald had, and tried to recreate the shots at the same intervals when the shots were heard to see if they could copy and prove that he did it. So you can try and do those sort of things. There we go. Well done.
No, you can, and you can work out likelihoods too from that.
Well, you can. I mean,
you can't prove like if something did or didn't happen, but you could say, well,
that's true.
It took 100 goes before someone was able to recreate it, and
But again, there are. It doesn't matter. You could present the most.
That's what I thought. The first time I had an argument with someone online about the moon land, I thought it was just that they didn't realise. They said, "Where's the dust from the lunar rover?" And I said, "Well," and I wrote, "I'm going to fix them up here." And I said, "Well, there's no atmosphere on the Earth, and everything doesn't billow; it falls in a parabola." And I thought, they would say,
okay.
Thank you for clearing that up. I understand now. No, that's not
Bullshit is what they say.
No, yeah. You're a was it a shill? You're a shill. And I had to look that up. I didn't realise what I was.
Well, I mean, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's no way there's no way you can present evidence to these people, no matter how reasonable the evidence, no matter how cogent the argument. There's no way you can win, because if these people are simply going to sit there and believe what they want to believe, you cannot win that situation.
So is a lot of this just because of social media? And let's just point out maybe podcasting. It's allowed anyone, irrespective of their knowledge and their ability to comprehend things, has it just given them a voice?
I don't think it's because of social media.
They're now more...
Yeah, they can find each other.
Yes.
People who were just in their basement...
We can find them too.
I think
find the other people.
I think social media... has exacerbated.
Yes. And exasperated, I would say. Yeah.
I think it's made it bigger and created a...
what I've said is more opportunities.
Yes.
And there are more voices.
Yes.
Loudest voices get heard.
Yes.
And that's why morons get noticed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't make them right. They're
With
still
the
morons.
the exception of us.
Of us.
That's why I'm speaking quietly.
That's right.
Again, it doesn't matter. It really, really, really doesn't. What argument was I having the other day? What argument? I was having an argument. It wasn't the other day. It was about 2 weeks ago. Think of the simplest logical argument you can have. I said someone, I think it was an argument about God or something, and I said, well, there is either a God or there is no God. There is either a God, there is no God. And they looked at me blankly, and I said, and I knew that they weren't understanding my argument. I mean, how do you not understand this argument? So then I went back to logical constructs. I said, look, a situation is either A or it is not A. And I said, and they looked at me and they seemed to understand a little, and they disagreed with that. And I was, all right. I was like, I looked at them quite blankly. I was quite troubled by this because I just didn't know what to do. I said, how can you disagree? I said, look, if you take a situation, no matter what that, even if it's not God, it can be anything. It's either going to be A or it's not A. How do you... there is no third possibility, right? Oh, no, there is a third possibility. And I'm like, well, what's the third possibility? Oh, the third possibility is you don't know. And I'm like, well, what? What do you mean? How is that a third possibility? I may not know. It's true. I may know nothing about A. That's completely true. But even if I know nothing about A, in a closed system, it's either A or not A. I don't need to know what A is. It's either A or not A. There is either a God or there is no God. We either landed on the moon or we didn't land on the moon. There is no other possibility, right? There is no other possibility. But no, people will argue there's a third possibility, or a fourth, or a fifth. Oh no, maybe we got halfway there. Maybe we did get halfway there. That's true, but we either landed or we didn't land in the context of that argument. But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People don't understand this. They don't know how to argue the point.
Yeah, but
so you can't win.
But that is my follow-up question. You know,
So did a UFO crash at Roswell? Did we land on the moon? Who killed JFK? Who killed JFK is a bit of a different problem because you're asking you're asking a question of who did it.
Yeah, as opposed to did it happen?
Yeah, right. It did happen. So JFK died.
Yeah.
Did the CIA do it? Did Lee Harvey Oswald do it? Well, that's a different question.
Was it Red Dwarf where... An episode of Red Dwarf where JFK went back in time and in order for things to work out properly, he had to kill himself?
Oh,
I think that was...
Did he shoot himself from the sixth floor?
No, he was up in the sniper's nest killing himself.
So
anyway,
that's what I'm
sorry,
saying,
slightly
right?
distracted.
So in order to, and I've always said this, even when I argue with people at work, which I try not to do anymore. No, I really, it's quite distressing because it can get quite loud. It disturbs people. Anyway,
and that's even without them contributing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have these discussions, people need to have these discussions from the same framework. But people don't even freaking well agree on the framework, right? I work from a framework of science. Science is a framework.
But you can't expect them to want to work in that same framework. If they can't understand the issue to begin with, why are they going to then accept your...
No, well, they need to.
They need to. I accept that.
No, hang on. I can't expect them to work from the... No, you're wrong.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, all right.
I can expect them to work from the same framework.
Yep.
I can. You know why I can? Because they use a mobile phone. Because they go to a doctor and they take medicine.
Yep.
They drive a car or take a bus or fly a plane.
And none of those things they understand.
And none of those
how they
things
work.
have come into existence without a framework. And the framework that has brought those things to existence is the same fucking framework. The medicine that you take to make your hemorrhoids go away.
Oh, you're not looking at me when you say that. No,
No, I'm looking at audio Pete. Right, he seems to be uncomfortably sitting on the couch.
He's on the edge
I've got some comfortable
Right,
things to say.
the framework, the medicine that you take, the plane that you fly in, the car that you drive, and the mobile phone that you use, the thing that you're listening to this podcast on, hopefully, they were all built and researched and have all come about using exactly the same framework. So how can you
dismiss all that?
How can you exist? How can you dismiss that framework when it comes to anything else?
It's not a different science. It's the same.
Exactly.
science.
So there's my point. So no, because they use these things, I have to expect that they must agree to the fucking framework.
Okay, so nobody thinks they're stupid. Even stupid people, especially stupid people, they don't think they're stupid.
That's true.
Yeah, nobody thinks themselves as
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but calling them stupid isn't going to make them any better, you would argue. So what I want to know is, given we all go to school, we all learn things. So we spend an awfully long time in school, 12 years, 13 years, and you like to think that that's just to get you to be a functioning member of society.
Right.
If you want to specialise in anything after that, go for your life. That's, we go to TAFE, we go on the job, to coin a phrase, we go to university, whatever it is. How the hell do we get through to these people? Is it a function of our education system? Is there a fundamental failing in there somewhere that people reach a point where they're like, oh, duh. Do they just not... How are we going to educate these people?
Well,
tell me, you're the educated boy, go for it.
Oh, look, I just think some people you can't get through to.
It's a little defeatist for where I was hoping to go, but...
You need to start at a very young age. In order to get through to people like this, you really, really need to start at a very young age. You need to take out the nonsense out of the system. You need to... Yeah, I mean, you need to really... You need to start by teaching things like clear thinking and logical thinking, along with your maths and your English and or whatever language your country subscribes to.
Just to interrupt, one thing I would say, think about the moon thing.
Yep.
People would have seen someone landing on the moon and walking on the moon long before they decided that it wasn't real. So something's happened. They would have been introduced to the concepts early on, just the same as they might have been introduced to the concepts of...
Yeah, but the moon thing to me, and
I'm using that just as an
hang on, the moon. A lot of these things that you've referred to as conspiracy theories, a lot of them, especially the more modern day ones, right? Forget Roswell and all that. Yeah. You know, the moon thing, the flat Earth, all of that. I really find it difficult to believe that some of these people actually believe that. I think what you said, Audio Pete, I think it's more about the movement rather than everything else. I really think it's more about them being a member of a club and the movement rather than they actually believe it.
That's why I think if you're engaging with these people, then don't fall in the trap of actually arguing about the facts of the thing that they're trying to... Like trying to explain to them that the moon's gravity is 1/6 and blah blah blah, and this, you've got to engage them more about why do you believe that, and what made you start to believe that, and what
but you must have more patience than I do.
Well, I can argue with the best of them about, and I did.
You must have more patience because I can't argue with these people. I really can't. It just it really.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on what you want to get
really
out of it.
makes my nuts ache. I really.
I like to.
There's an unpleasant thought.
There's a lot of joy to be had in being right in an argument and winning every argument, and I suppose that's why.
Well, that's why they're doing
engage
it.
with it. Because nothing they could present was.
Then anyone that knows me, anyone that knows who I am and has had an argument with me will always come back to me and say, "Oh, Dr. Raven, you think you know everything. Just because you've got a PhD, you think you know everything." Let me say, quite ecstatically, I don't know everything. I'm happy about that situation, but that's their argument to me. You are so arrogant. You think you know everything. That's why you always think you're right. You always think this. You always think that.
This is your wife you're talking about.
This sounds like my family.
The wife will often say this to me. Yes, quite true. Yeah, quite true. Yeah, especially when it comes down to things like, tarot card readings or
why are we not doing that as a podcast?
That's right. We were at breakfast this morning and we toasted with water. And the wife said, "You shouldn't toast with water. It's said to be bad luck." And I'm like, what? Who said? And how do they know? Oh, well, people say it's bad luck. Oh, people say. Interesting. Okay, well, what does that even mean? Bad luck. Oh, you think you know everything. Well, no, I don't know everything.
I haven't actually said anything. All I've done is question where you're...
I don't think I know everything, but I'm pretty damn sure that I don't care that toasting with water is probably not bad luck. I don't really care.
I did not know that.
And who decides? Who decides what it is?
I would say the sellers of champagne probably decided.
How does it happen that it's bad? I mean, what happens and how does it happen? If it's bad luck, something's bad's going to happen.
Well, it's true.
And
you might drown, maybe.
By what mechanism is that going to happen? And then you start asking questions and people can't answer them. And their argument is, you think you know everything. Well, no, I don't think I know everything, but you don't either, and you're a dickhead.
I remember before a wedding once that the bride was shat on by a bird, and someone said, that's meant to be good luck.
I can't see that as anything but
and I thought to myself, how is this good luck? And where have you got that particular thing from? Now you have to spend time cleaning yourself, and all it's doing is wasting time, getting you more flustered. Where is the good luck in this?
Yeah, but I mean,
other than it didn't land on me.
Forget that, because there's probably a bit of cultural thing around that, right? And it's probably a joke and a bit of a laugh, all this, it's a bit of, it's good luck, it's just to lighten the situation.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
So that's fine. But I'm talking about these people that really believe, they're die-hard conspiracy theorists, whatever.
They'll say Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Right, well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, there you go, right?
Or they say that it was the government did it.
There you go. I mean, and you know what? Sadly... And sadly, there are conspiracy theories that have actually been shown to be quite true. The Bay of Tonkin incident, for example.
Do tell.
Well, I can't recall what that was. But
you weren't there?
No, but I will.
Well, while you say that one, I was reading one as well, and it was that during Prohibition in America, they did apparently poison alcohol. So and that was part of their. And this was proven, and I read that and thought, well, that's certainly going to stop people drinking it, isn't it? If they come across it and it's like, I've managed to get some alcohol. Oh, whoops, that's poisoned.
But did they spray it from jet engines from aircraft all over the world? That's the next step. What's it called again?
The jet stream things where they're trying to no.
So just for people's knowledge, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was a photo taken from the USS Maddox.
Yep.
During the incident, showing 3 North Vietnamese motor torpedo boats. Gulf of Tonkin incident, also known as the USS Maddox incident, was an international confrontation that led to the United States engaging more directly in the Vietnam War.
And this is what's happening now with Iran.
That is a true event that happened, but at the time it was denounced as a conspiracy theory. So you can imagine being in that time and place where people were talking about this, and someone like me would have said, well, where's your evidence for this? This is just a conspiracy theory. Where's your evidence for it? And it was actually something that did happen. So there are several of these conspiracy theories that were actually proven to be completely true. But that's the point. A conspiracy theory is only that until you have evidence. When you then have evidence, it's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's now something that is proven.
Yeah. Right?
So you know, it goes from being a conspiracy theory to a possibility to being a reality, right? But the key thing is, and what changes the state of what it is evidence. You can, and this is where people become really flummoxed and confused. What they can classify as evidence is actually not evidence.
It's a bit fake news, maybe.
Well, there's a bit of the flag fluttering
on the moon.
In the moon, the flag fluttering in the moon. And therefore
there's no wind. Why is it fluttering?
Why is there fluttering if there's no wind? That situation, they see that as evidence, but it's not.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem is. People don't understand what evidence actually is.
So again, I come back to the question. We can't wipe these people off or write them off and just say, you're too dumb, you're never going to learn. How do we combat? How do we do this? It can't. It's got to be in school. It can't be, if you've got some 50-year-old sitting back going, we didn't land on the moon. Don't worry about them. They're never going to change.
Yeah, you need to capture these people you really need to capture these people when they're young. And the key thing is to teach them, not only how to read, not only how to write, or how to put numbers together and do a lot of good maths, but how to think logically. You need to teach them what evidence is, with my little one, as you may or may not know, I am unfortunately having to send her to a Christian school. I made that decision because it was the best school in the area for the things that they teach, but as a consequence, she also learns about religion. And
it's always good to know your enemy, though, isn't it?
Well, that was my other piece of logic as well. It was always good for her to understand.
Well, that's just because we don't believe or accept those particularly, it doesn't mean we don't know about them. It doesn't mean we don't read or haven't read and understood them. We can get through that and say, yeah, okay, that's fine, but it's not true.
I always say to my kids, just if you've got a question, you ask them. If something doesn't sound right to you, ask. And they did sort of drive their RE teacher around the bend a little bit.
So now, I mean, my little one, understands what evidence is. She knows. I mean, she'll say it's proof. Well, that's fine. She knows what proof is, and whenever she says anything,
prove it.
I always say to her, well, how do you know that that's the case? What did she say to me the other day? She said, I think that tree's going to fall down. We were walking to school. I think that tree's going to fall down. I said, well, how do you know it's going to fall down? Where's your evidence? She said, well, it's tilting in this direction. It's very windy, and it's sitting on a slope. And I said, okay, fair enough. Can't argue with you. That's pretty reasonable evidence. said it may not fall down, though. You know that it may not fall down. But, you know, if it does fall down, you've given me some good reasons why it may have fallen down.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try and teach her these things.
No, that's good.
And for those that may be listening, you know, she's 5 years old, coming on to 6, going on to 16.
Did you in fact push the tree down later so that you could say, "There you go, look, you were right"? No.
Well, again, there's
prophecy.
there's a lot of things you could say about that. Had I pushed a tree down, I could then have the lesson with her to say, well,
all your evidence amounted to nothing.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the fact that all trees actually do fall down eventually.
Yeah. Well, and again, you can have that. You can have that discussion.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, for those that are listening to this podcast, a lot of you may have kids or may be thinking you may kids.
You may even be kids.
Some of you may be kids, and some of you that may be listening, sad to say, probably shouldn't have kids. But let me.
There is a theme developing at the end of each of these podcasts. A little insight.
Oh, by the way, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to call anyone an idiot, and I don't think that I'm better than anyone else. I'm not better than you that's listening to this. But what I wanted to say to you is you should be read a lot of books, you do some writing, understand the numbers, but by everything else, go away and understand what evidence actually means, because the understanding of evidence is what will lift you from the darkness that clouds your mind. It really is. And if you've got kids, don't ever think that they're too young to understand the concept of evidence and the idea.
They can always ask a question if they don't understand.
Absolutely, absolutely. And take away, and just to be clear, evidence is something that can be demonstrated and can be repeated. Evidence is that's the concept of evidence. If you give me an evidence of something, I should be able to clearly understand what you're showing me, and I should be able to potentially perform an experiment that will test that evidence, okay? That will allow me to repeat what you have observed, or will allow me to come up with the same conclusion. Think of it this way, and this is one of my most favourite things to say, and it's the evidence against religion, I guess. If we were somehow to be able to take away every religion in the world. So in some way we pushed a button and every religion in the world vanished.
Does our memory of it vanish?
Yeah, our memory of it vanishes, right? So we have no more religion. But the consequence of that was also that it would remove all knowledge.
Yep.
So not only has religion vanished, but science has gone.
Yep.
Medicine gone. Architecture, the way we build things, the way we do things, our understanding of the universe, the way we observe the sun, all of that gone. Gone. Nothing exists anymore.
Yep.
I absolutely guarantee you that in 1,000 years, 2,000 years, the science we have today would be exactly the same science we would end up with 2,000 years later. The religions would be completely different. We would believe in different things. We would understand different things from a religious perspective. The science, though, it would develop in exactly the same way. The observations we would make would be exactly the same way. Why? Because the rules of physics haven't changed. The rules of chemistry haven't changed. All of that, the universe hasn't changed. But our understanding, the systems of belief without evidence, all of those have changed. So, if I think we're at the end of all this.
We are indeed
we're closing up. We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely encourage everyone that's listening to this. And look, I think if you're listening to this, you're probably open to the ideas we're saying
thinking.
anyway, of thinking, but if you're not, and you're a first-time listener, good on you.
Maybe we've pricked your bubble a little bit.
Maybe we have, hopefully. You've probably got hopefully a lot of intelligence behind you. Go away and read a book, understand evidence, understand logical fallacies, go away and investigate science, even if you are a person of science. Go and reinvestigate some of that science. There's a lot of interesting stuff that you can learn, that you can do experimentation on. If you've got kids, even if you've got friends, older friends, teach them something, learn something from them. because I think you could really, really change your life with a lot of this.
I would
It's so
say-
important.
I would say ask questions, but listen to the answers.
Oh, absolutely. I like that. Yeah.
All right, let's finish on that note.
I
Thank
think
you
so.
again.
No,
Been
worries.
interesting.
Yeah. Look,
And,
it's a good. The whole concept of conspiracy theories and belief of ideas is a wonderful, wonderful concept. But again, what do they say? Science without belief, without questioning is lame, or science without questioning is blind, or something like that. I don't know. One of those.
There was a religion thing in there as well,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Wasn't it Einstein who said that?
It was. I think
It
you're
was
right.
Einstein. Yeah, something without. You know what? Let's worry about it on another podcast.
Let's do that on another one.
All right. Thank you again for listening. We will
Thank you.
see you on the next one. Audio
Hope
P,
you,
Dr.
as I
Raven.
say always, just like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all.
Bye.